everyone. Welcome to the Fake News or Breaking News breakout session at the OurCrowd Summit. I'm Leah Stern, Global Communications Partner, and I'll be moderating this panel over the next 45 minutes. I'll explain the format. We have 3 OurCrowd portfolio company CEOs, and they're going to be pitching 2 announcements. One is real, and one is fake. Our panelists of journalists are going to determine which is which, and explain why and give some critiques. But first, a brief introduction from Cyabra CEO Dan Brahmy. Cyabra is a social search engine that identifies fake accounts and disinformation online. Notable clients have included the US and Israeli governments, not to mention Elon Musk. Dan, please join us up on stage.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. We are going to be taking 10 minutes to discuss one of the most interesting topics. For those of you who haven't seen, by the way, this morning there has been a very interesting article published on The Marker, Le Monde, and The Guardian about the other side, which is what we would like to call the bad actors and the fake actors that are manipulating online conversations. And so it's usually the most useless slide when we talk to people. But just to explain what we're trying to solve here, we actually believe that nowadays, more than ever, there is a machine that can manipulate at scale and falsify actors, behaviors, and content. And this is the roots for what we call today disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda. And it affects every single industry that you can think of. And for the next 90 seconds, instead of talking about the technology that we're trying to promote and sort of help with the problem, we thought of showing you, from an insider's perspective, how it looks and feels like to maybe become the bad actor. So I would like to show you how easy it is to create a fake account and what kind of damage you can create. The first step that you need to do when you want to create a fake account is you need to start by signing up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or VK or whatever it is. And then you stumble upon the first wall, which is pretty much, what name should I use? What kind of email should I use? Where am I coming from? What age am I, right? And so you're pretty much asking, well, should I find an uncommon, unknown name? Why would you even think about it? Why don't you just ask Google? What is the most common name that I can have in France, in Israel, in Ukraine, in Russia, and wherever you can think of? So you don't actually have to think through the process of the social engineering. My God, you can just call yourself Tetiana Petrenko, create a Gmail account, because creating a Gmail account is literally a 12 seconds process, as you can think. You have your password, you have your date of birth, and this is the first wall that you can cross over to create your account. Now you have an empty account, but you need pictures, history, context, everything. So why don't I just log into an additional social media platform called vContact, download the openly available information and pictures from that platform from another lady called Olga, download a picture, upload it on my empty account on Facebook, and now I have a visual appearance. So now that I have a name, a picture, an email, and, well, soon to have also a history, I'm continuously browsing through Olga VK's account. Then I see that she has been attending a hockey game. So I'm going to take the comment, download the picture, make it my own, and just for the sake of making people believe, like I've been on Facebook for the last, let's call it 6 years, I can backdate my post to November 2016. The human eye cannot perceive the change that I've just made, but this is such a powerful play when you're creating a fake account. You can change your history, your content, your pictures, your videos, and nowadays with the generative AI possibilities, you can generate content at scale. The last thing that I'm missing is friends, engagement. Don't work too hard. You can just buy them, that's fine. Spend a few hundreds of dollars and I guess you are able to do almost anything you want, right? So I think this is a very timely topic because we realize that you can simply, at scale, create social engineering methodologies, sometimes for good use cases, and unfortunately, a lot of the times for bad use cases. The additional, like you said, and thank you for the disclaimer, the additional insider perspective that we thought of talking about is our involvement with the Twitter acquisition. Elon Musk was our customer for a long period of time throughout 2022 with the acquisition. We were commissioned by him to understand the nefarious virality of the bot and spam accounts on the platform before he went on and actually spent those few precious dozens of billions of dollars. And we realized, and let me tell you something, we realized that the situation was not as clean as they claim to be as a publicly traded company, because it's not less than 5%. It's not 2%. It's not 1%. It's between 11 to 14%. And the problem is not just the ratio of inauthenticity, it's actually the influence that they create, which is geared towards dozens of percentages of every single conversation on Twitter. So you can imagine the amount of impact that it has to be a social media platform and to not necessarily understand the influence that you have within your own turf. So that's exactly what we were commissioned by Elon Musk to do. It's to act as a filtering mechanism. So I'm just going to go very briefly around, I'd say, 2-3 major case studies that we have stumbled upon throughout 2021, 2022, and what does it mean for the future ahead of us. I am going to start with a very interesting story. Most of the people think that disinformation and fake news affects governments and affects elections. It actually affected deeply, clear-cut influence operations within the biggest divorce history of online celebrities between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And what we saw is that actually there was close to 11% of the profiles discussing the topic that were generating the negative sentiment around one of the sides. I think it's sort of speaking by itself. And kind of the biggest takeaway here is that this is just one story about one divorce, but you have weddings, and you have birth, and you have, you name it, right? We just simply by mistake stumble upon that story of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And it sounds like a small number. I mean, 11%. It's actually almost at the rate of what we see when we stumble upon, we as in the product, we stumble upon election interference. So imagine what I just told you. Election interference has the same rate of disinformation and influence than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. How interesting that is. All right, second story, the midterm elections. I could start by the takeaway, which is I'm actually scary to get to 2024. But the main takeaway is when we were looking at the 2022 midterm elections, we realized that the techniques have been the same. They just became more, they just evolved into something bigger and something much more targeted, because the capabilities from a social engineering perspective, right? From a bad actor perspective, which is how can I, at scale, falsify the content, the behaviors, and the actors involved, it's become mainstream. Anyone can just spend $200 and create bots at scale. And now with ChatGPT, did anyone ask itself what would be the implication from a fake news and disinformation standpoint? How easy it is to create plausible content at scale? So just food for thought. And then the last topic is Disney. So we've done a lot of research around Netflix, Disney, and a lot of some of the largest brands in the world. Here's an interesting story. Almost 22,000 posts in a single platform for one day related to the secret connection between Disney and the Jeffrey Epstein sort of conspiracy. And so this is a great example of how brand reputations can be built for decades and can be dearly damaged within just a couple of days. Because conspiracy theories can be promoted and propagated in such an easy way that no one is really protected by this almost, right?
Thank
Just
you,
as a
Dan,
quick
so
overview.
much. We actually have to wrap up, but question,
Beautiful.
how many fake accounts do you think are out there, if you had to estimate?
If we are taking the daily active users of the major social media platforms, we're pretty much looking at a few hundreds of millions within the big ones, so the Facebooks and the Instagram and the Twitters and the Snap and the TikToks of the world.
Good thing we have you guys to determine what's fake and what's real. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.